there's a real interesting question here. I touched on this earlier with Congressman Pocan, but we didn't really go into it deeply. There was a seven-figure contribution to one of the main political action committees by a fellow, George Marcus is his name. He's the chairman of both the real estate brokerage firm Marcus and Millchap and the real estate investment trust Essex Property Trust. And on June 1st, they gave $1 million to the House Majority PAC, which is, a large super PAC. He also gave $263,000 last month to a committee benefiting the DNCC and to Speaker Pelosi's reelection campaign. And Rashida Tlaib, the Democrat from the western suburbs of Detroit, has come out and basically asked Democrats to return this donation. And what she's suggesting is that donation might have been part of the reason why the Democrats weren't more proactive in making sure that the eviction moratorium didn't get extended. Now, I haven't seen any specific evidence of that other than the fact that the moratorium didn't get extended, which, in Rashida Tlaib's mind, Congresswoman Tlaib's mind, is huge evidence and may well be. But I think this all opens up a much larger issue, which is money in politics. Democrats are not immune to this. They don't have enough money to win an election. You're not in power. It's that simple. The rules of the game of politics in the United States were changed in 1976 and 78 with two Supreme Court decisions that Lewis Powell participated in and put him on the court in 72. And that was the Buckley case in 76 and the Bellotti case in 78. And those set the stage for Citizens United in 2010. And what Citizens United and those other cases said was that corporations are people and they have rights under the Constitution, and included in those rights is the right of free speech. And the way that a corporation, which does not have a mouth, speaks is with money. And therefore, money is free speech. When a corporation gives money, or the CEO of a corporation, or any other morbidly rich person, some very, very wealthy person gives an enormous amount of money to a politician, we used to call that, prior to 76, we used to call that corruption. In fact, we used to call it bribery. And the Supreme Court said, you can't call it that anymore. That's now just normal politics in America. And the result of that is that America now operates more like an oligarchy than a democracy. More often than not, what the rich people want and what big corporations want is what gets passed into law. And what the average person wants, the average, particularly working class people and poor people, what the average person wants in America almost never gets made into law. Now, that is changing with a Democratic majority, and it's changing in some real substantial ways, which is really good news. But like I said, Democrats aren't immune to the influence of big money. We need to get corporate money and billionaire money out of politics. And it is possible for Congress to do this by legislation. It is also possible to do it with an amendment to basically overturn, a constitutional amendment to overturn these decisions. That's a much bigger lift and a much more difficult job and much less likely. But we need to take this on. And I want the Democrats to put this at the top of their agenda. And so this is something to pass along, I suppose, in your political activism. It certainly is part of mine, that when I talk to people who represent me, or when I talk to the people in their office, with my regular phone calls to Congress, I'm saying, please make overturning Citizens United one of your top priorities. We have to reverse the damage that the Supreme Court has done to the United States. If you want to do a deep dive on it, I wrote a whole book about it, The Hidden History of the Supreme Court and the Betrayal of America. And it really was a betrayal. And it's something that we need to be pointing out.